Hello YouTube, it is your boy, your goy, B3, back with another kicking B3 Reads. Today we're going to continue reading Monster Island by Wrath of Kitty on Wattpad. You can check out the story there if you don't want to listen to my dumbass read it. But this chapter is called The Creature. Recently, Batra died. Mothra broke up with Godzilla and took her remaining living son with her. And she left Komodothrax, who was Godzilla's daughter and not hers, because Godzilla had an affair with Biollante, who is also dead. And then Godzilla left Komodothrax with Anguirus for a while so that he could go kill Gigan, because Gigan killed Biollante, and he wants to avenge Biollante because he feels like Mothra betrayed him and Biollante never did. Fuck me. So here we go, The Creature. Godzilla ran for days. Only hate was urging him on. Everything inside him screamed to stop, to rest, but his hate was like a growing fire, burning everything in sight. His eyes, blood red, were narrowed as he ran. He didn't stop for any lesser animals. An unlucky Tyrannosaurus Rex or a Titan boa would die under his feet. He refused to stop. He wouldn't rest until he held Gigan's neck in his mouth. Godzilla ran for 5 days, while froth fell from his mouth. I always have trouble saying that word. Froth. He was terribly thirsty, but he didn't stop. Then he tripped, putting all his weight on his ankle, not his foot. He came crashing down. He roared in anger. Now that he was down, he couldn't get up until he gathered all his strength. He put his face in the dirt and slammed his tail down. He wanted to sleep, but he was too thirsty. He listened, then he heard it. A river. He crawled slowly to the sound. He was almost there when the ground collapsed and he fell into it, rolling down a tunnel. He roared and tried to stop himself, but his weak arms did nothing. He gave up and let himself roll, slide, and somersault down the tunnel. The tunnel stopped, but he kept falling. Finally, he hit the ground. The wind was knocked out of him. He laid on the ground waiting for death, but someone came up to him and kicked him. "What are you doing in my cave? Who are you?" it growled. Godzilla opened his eyes. The figure was blurry. "Answer me," it said. "I don't," he gasped for breath. "No." It kicked him again. "Get up! Stop! Get out of my house, or I'll get King Ghidorah." King Ghidorah? He sounds familiar. Who is this creature? Godzilla thought. He closed his eyes again. The creature groaned, picked up Godzilla's feet, and dragged him. Godzilla's mouth opened and his tongue dragged on the ground. Godzilla opened his eyes again, then blacked out. Godzilla opened his eyes and shook his head. He was somewhat dizzy, and he had a terrible taste in his mouth. Oh, that monster probably put his dick in his mouth. He was in a small dark cave. He heard the dripping on water and lapped up the small puddles of water. Then he grew hungry. He then smelled the scent of blood. It led him to a small bull moose in the back of the cave. He ate it in 2 bites. "You're awake," a voice said. Godzilla spun around. He bared his teeth but stopped. He knew he was in no condition to fight. "Who are you?" Godzilla asked. "Who are you?" it asked. "Godzilla. Godzilla, the king of all monsters, in my cave? I should be surprised. But I'm not," it said. "What do you mean?" He tried to keep his voice down. "I can see your red glowing eyes, you know. You can't fool me. Who are you? Where am I?" It laughed. The laugh sounded terribly familiar. Oh, okay, this must be Gigan. "You're a pitiful creature, aren't you?" Godzilla had enough of this monster. He got up, then collapsed again. The creature laughed. "It's funny to see the king in this state. I can't believe I got this for you." It threw something in. It was another moose. He crawled to it and ate it. He squinted and tried to see the monster, but it was too dark. "Thanks," Godzilla said. "No problem. You should have enough water. It drips from the top. I guess I'll check on you again tonight. You know you could have died," it said. "I know," he said. "Okay, I'll leave." Goodbye," it said and left. Godzilla put his arms under him and put his legs in a kneeling position, kind of like a cat lays when it looks like it's crouching or something. Great writing. He curled his tail around himself and put his head down. The only thing that put out his burning hate was grief. He felt it everywhere. He missed Biollante. He missed Leo. He missed Komodo. He missed Batra. He missed Mothra. He hated himself for killing his own son. The son that he and Mothra hoped for. The son Mothra almost died laying. He shut his eyes tightly. The grief threatened to drown him. He wanted to die. Right here, right now. He wanted to be beside Biollante. He wanted to curl beside Mothra. Biollante was dead. Mothra hated him. He hated himself. He sighed. How long did he lay there? He didn't know. But his cave grew darker, and the creature came back. I actually got a really good feel of Godzilla's emotions in that paragraph. That was a really good paragraph. I feel like if this author keeps practicing, they could actually write something pretty good and original. You know? One thing about fan fiction is, one, we always say this on the show, every middle schooler is entitled to their cringy fan fiction. But, fan fiction can also be really good practice for up and coming authors. And I think they got some really good practice on this book. Here, he threw him another moose. Thanks. Are you tired? Godzilla nodded. What's wrong? Nothing. Come on. It sat down at the entrance. There is something. Godzilla looked away. I guess I'll tell you what's wrong with me, Godzilla exhaled. I've killed so many monsters. Monsters that are innocent. I've separated hatchlings from their mothers, all for King Ghidorah. He is so powerful. He takes control of my body and commands me to kill. I can't fight it. Godzilla raised his head. Why don't you kill Ghidorah? That's like asking me to burn the whole world. It can't be impossible. And he's not alone. He has two brothers, Mecha Ghidorah and Kaiser Ghidorah. They're both almost as powerful as Ghidorah, it said. Oh, okay. As I remember, Ghidorah said he killed his twin earlier, so it kind of threw me off when I heard he had brothers. They must be younger brothers, so he didn't have to kill them. I can help you kill them. You don't get it. They will overpower us both, and Ghidorah has the power to control minds, it said. And I don't think that you would want to help me. If you knew who I am, you'd want to kill me. What do you mean? Godzilla asked. I can't say, it said, getting up. He walked out of the cave. Wait, Godzilla tried to get up, but his legs shook and he fell back on his knees. He scratched the ground. Why was he so weak? Godzilla opened his eyes. He was in a large field, the field of his dreams. He got up and walked. At least he could walk. This reminds me of, remember in Gladiator when Russell Crowe dies and he walks through the fields of wheat? That's what it's making me think of. Godzilla, a voice said. He looked around. Who's there? It's me, he gasped. Biollante? Yes. He turned around. She was a couple feet from him. He ran to her and put his head on hers. A monster is in need of you, Godzilla. What, you mean that thing who is helping me? No, you know this monster well. It has been attacked and is near death. You must help it. Who is it? She started to fade. No, Biollante. He thrust his head up. He was back in the cave. Then he heard footsteps. Good morning. Morning. Did you sleep well? Yes, he lied. I can tell by your voice that you were lying. He clenched his fist. Okay, I dreamed of her, he growled. Who? Biollante. He looked down and closed his eyes tightly. Oh, I'm sorry, it said sadly. Then Godzilla was confused. He hadn't said anything about her dying. Why was it sorry? Why are you sorry? Godzilla asked. I know she died. Oh, are you a mutant? No. What are you? An outcast, it lied. Oh, thanks for taking care of me. You're welcome. But why are you doing it? I just am. Oh, bad dialogue. He got up and left. Godzilla really wanted to know who this monster was. It wouldn't say its name, and he couldn't see its face. It was too dark in his cave. Godzilla shook his head and went to sleep. Godzilla opened his eyes. He had a dreamless sleep, and for some reason he felt stronger. He stood up and didn't fall. He took a few steps as he put weight on his left leg. Pain shot through him. He collapsed. He looked at his foot. He could just barely see it, and what he saw disgusted him. He had severely damaged his ankle. His foot only hung by a few tendons. Fuck! He growled. This injury could take years to heal, he growled. Then he heard footsteps. I brought you something. What is it? Wrap it around your ankle. Godzilla took it and wrapped it. You can put pressure on it now. Godzilla stood and walked around the dark cave. It didn't hurt as bad. Then he looked at the creature. He walked to it. The creature flinched and ran. Godzilla tried to run after it, but stopped. It was stupid to even try. He sat back down. He stared at the entrance for a while. A few hours when he snapped back to reality, the creature was standing in the entrance. Godzilla. My name is Gigan. Yeet! So now we're gonna read Mecha Ghidorah. I guess they're leaving out the king because there can only be one alien king. So that makes sense to me. Godzilla's eyes widened. Hate burned inside him, washing away his grief. He didn't care if this monster helped him. He killed Biollante. Gigan, I know I shouldn't have told you. I was being controlled by Ghidorah. You have to believe me. I will believe nothing you say. You killed Biollante. Godzilla got up and raced to him, ignoring the pain in his ankle. I kind of liked it better when Gigan was just a sadistic fuck earlier in the story. Gigan put his tail between his legs and ran. Oh, no you don't. Godzilla ran faster. He then ran into a problem. There were 5 tunnels. Which one did he go into? He smelled around, then he found his scent. It led into the 3rd tunnel. 3rd tunnel from what? Also, wouldn't the 3rd tunnel just be the middle tunnel? He ran until the ground collapsed under him. Again? He fell into a cave with crystals on the side of the wall. It was a small cave, but at least he could see. He walked around. Gigan, where are you? Face me, you coward. Godzilla? A voice asked. He looked back. He couldn't believe his eyes. Mothra? He exclaimed. Her eyes turned red. You think I'm going to just forgive you? She flew to him and cut his arms with her wings. She turned around and flew into the back of his head, knocking him down. Godzilla pushed himself. If this moth wanted a fight, then she'd get one. He grabbed the tips of her wings and threw her across the cave. She spun in the air and caught herself before she hit the wall. She blew fire from her antennas. Godzilla tried to breathe fire, but only a few sparks came out. She stopped blowing fire. He ran at her, grabbed her wings, and pinned her down. She stared up at him with red eyes. He raised his hand, ready to give the killing blow. Then he froze. Do it, Mothra growled. He brought down his hand, claws outstretched. She didn't flinch. He stopped his hand when it was only a few inches from her head. He let her up. Why did you hold back? She demanded. I don't know. Answer me, Godzilla. He swung his head in her direction. Because I still love you, okay? Duh. Her eyes turned back to Sapphire. I do too, but I can't live with my son's murderer. Understandable. Understandable. I'm sorry, Mothra, forgive me. If you don't, I won't be mad. I forgive you only because I love you more than I hate you. He went up to her and rested his nose on hers. Oh, how sweet. Godzilla and Mothra looked up. It was Gigan. Godzilla stepped in front of Mothra. You take one more step and I'll rip you to shreds, Godzilla growled. You? Rip me to shreds? You saw what I did to Biollante. I find it funny that you believed my story. You believed Titanosaurus' story too. Oh no. So he is just a sadistic asshole. Okay, that's good. I wanted him to stay the sadistic asshole. I didn't like the controlled by Ghidorah angle. But he was lying. He was being a little bastard. Oh my god. You're too late for them. Anguirus is dying. Komodothrax is already dead, Gigan laughed. Holy fucking cock shit. Godzilla had enough. He charged at Gigan, but he swiftly dodged. Godzilla ran into the cave wall. He stomped his foot in anger. He ran at him again. Gigan didn't move, though. Instead, he thrust his blades out. Godzilla swerved away from him, but was stabbed in his flank. He stumbled and looked down at his leg. It hurt to put weight on it. Mothra screamed. He thrust his head up. One of Gigan's blades was deep in her wing. Gucci Gang! Let her go, he screeched, his eyes turning bright red. He ignored the pain and ran full speed at him. He looked at him and his eyes turned to nervous slits. Wait, Gigan has one eye. I guess you can count the laser eye. He tried to pull his back out, but it was stuck in her wing. Despite the pain, Mothra stayed put. She knew what Godzilla was going to do. Godzilla ran into Gigan. His blade was ripped from Mothra's wing, tearing a large piece from it. She fell to the ground, unable to hover. Godzilla and Gigan hit the ground and slid. Godzilla hit his head on the cave wall, giving Gigan a chance to get up. Gigan raised his blade, ready to stab Godzilla's heart. Godzilla hit his legs with his tail, and he fell. Godzilla rolled over and jumped on the Gigan. Gigan laid on his stomach, unable to move. Godzilla put his mouth by his ear. I promised I would avenge her. He sunk his teeth into Gigan's neck. He didn't struggle. He lifted his head, then let it fall. He was dead. Godzilla got up, surprised it had been so easy. Then he remembered Mothra. She was on the ground, flapping her injured wings slowly. Mothra, he ran to her side. It will be weeks until I can fly. What will I do? I don't know, but I'll think of something. You stay here. Where are you going? I know this sounds crazy, but I'm going to fight Mecha Ghidorah. Who? Ghidorah's brother. He has a brother? Yes, I'll be back. Wait, he looked back. Be careful. Where's Mothra Leo? Where's Leo at? He nodded and left. It took him a while, but he found his way out. He was happy to be outside again. He scratched himself on a tree, leaving his scent. He walked for a while. He finally caught on that he was in alien territory. Mecha had to live here. His brother did. After hours of walking through what seemed like endless forest, he saw a small crystal cave. He, of course, walked in. There was a sleeping giant. It had 3 heads, and the middle head and its body were gray and shiny. Wow. Finding Mecha King Ghidorah was really fucking easy. Oh my god. Was this Mecha? He didn't know. He didn't even know what Ghidorah looked like. He quietly tried to walk out. "Wait just a minute," a highly scratchy voice said. Godzilla froze and looked back. The monster was awake. The gray head was lifted, but the other two still laid on the ground. But their white eyes looked up at him. "State your business," the gray said. "Oh, I'm looking for Mecha King Ghidorah." The other two heads raised. Then it got up. "I'm Mecha Ghidorah," the gray said. "Did my Ghidorah send you?" Yes, he did. What's the message?" He needs help with something." "With what?" The gray grew irritated. "He was infested with bugs." The gray head, female but the rest of its body is male, raised her head. "I'm not stupid. Have you been sent to kill me?" "No." "Right, I know who you are. King Godzilla. It's an honor to be in your presence," she said half-heartedly. "Sure, I am here to kill you, but I might spare you. Why would you? I'm Ghidorah's sibling. That doesn't mean anything. Come on, you're too smart for this. You don't have to be for him." She turned to her other heads and whispered something. It nodded. She looked back at Godzilla. "Do you really mean it?" "Yes. But he's my brother. Come with me," he said. "Okay," she said nervously. "You first." It actually makes sense that the other Ghidorahs might be against King Ghidorah, because he did murder their elder brother and also their parents. They probably live in fear of him every day. So if Mecha Ghidorah is actually being serious about joining Godzilla, that would make sense. That would make sense. It's not out of nowhere. She walked in front of him, unaware of his plans. He bared his teeth and lunged for the back of her throat. She shrieked and fell to the ground. "I thought we were together. I was going to help you," she coughed. Her heads looked at her with feelings of sadness and anger in their eyes. "You thought wrong." Godzilla dug his teeth deeper into her neck. "You missed out on a golden opportunity, Godzilla. You could have had... That was probably the most advantageous ally you could have made. And you fucked it up." "I was going to help you," she said before her heads fell lifeless. Godzilla got up and looked down at her triumphantly. "One Ghidorah down, one to go." "Don't you mean two to go? Kaiser and King?" But what he didn't know was that there was a Kaiser Ghidorah. "You do know there's a Kaiser Ghidorah! Gigan told you!" "And he would take the one thing Godzilla had left." Ooh, that's ominous. Is he gonna kill Mothra? Gigan said Komodothrax was already dead and Anguirus was injured. And I'd like to hear more about that, to be completely honest. I think that was 2 chapters. That should have been 2 chapters. That was 2 chapters. Was that 2? I can't count to 2, so I don't fucking know. Well, the next chapter is called Her Final Stand. So Mothra probably does die. I'll tell you something I like about this author. They are not afraid to kill off characters. And I like that in authors. Because killing off a character and leaving them dead is a real consequence that lots of authors are afraid of. Lots of authors are afraid to kill characters. But killing characters is great. And most of these characters, the author has actually made us feel for. You know? So, out of all the fan fictions I've read on B3 Reads, this is the best one. It really is. Good job, Wrath of Kitty. I'm enjoying this story. It's obviously very unprofessional, and you don't know how to spell the word your because you spell it incorrectly almost every single time you use it, and other critiques. But I'm enjoying this story. It's been quite a saga. It has been quite a saga. So we're on Her Final Stand, and there should only be a few parts left. Her Final Stand, Thalia, Dream Battle, and the Final Battle. So it might take 2 more episodes of B3 Reads to finish this fan fiction. Maybe 2 more episodes of B3 Reads, and then this fan fiction will be done. Then we'll probably start Anguirus' diary. So that's it. Thank you all very much for your support. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out the cool links in the description below. Facebook, Twitter, etc. Check out our Patreon. That's the best way you can support us is on Patreon. We have tiers from $1 to $10, which is a lot cheaper than most YouTube Patreons. So that's it. Thank you all once again for your support. I'll see y'all later.